Hello, everybody, and welcome back from break. When we left our heroes, they had just awoken, spoken with Sine, given out bonuses to the staff of the Lifted Spirits, and had set about the planning or the execution of their plans for this next day. Before they are able to accomplish or start those plans, though, a individual walks into the Lifted Spirits. A large, I say
We're not
large,
open yet.
a tall, thin man in a breastplate and kind of like heavy furs. They're kind of like a dun color, right? Rather than a typical kind of like a dark brown or anything like that, or a black. He has this kind of official, important look about him.
Does he look familiar?
In fact, he does not look familiar, actually.
Damn it.
But he looks noble. And he steps forward into the kind of like the section right in front of the bar for the Lifted Spirits. And he kind of like looks around, kind of like narrows his gaze as he takes each of you in, right? And he speaks, and when he does, he says, in this kind of very calm voice, he says, "I am Joroth Brighthelm, here on behalf of the Lord's Alliance. I wish to speak with Matashtai."
Well, that's me.
Kind of like looks around, and there's one or two like regulars in here. It's very early in the morning, right? He kind of like side eyes them. And he says, "Is there a more private place we could retire to?"
We got a creepy cellar.
Or, upstairs.
We don't have a back room, so it'd probably have to go upstairs. Yeah, why don't you come on up?
He follows you up, right? Like, he doesn't show much emotion or much opinion about one thing or the other, right? He just kind of nods, steps aside, waits for you to lead.
Okay. I commence the leading.
Okay. You find yourself in the common area up above in Troll Skull Manor, and as soon as you're kind of like in a more private location, this man, Joroth Brighthelm, he immediately launches in, and he says, "I was sent to you via various chains of command, told you were a trustworthy individual allied to our cause, that you would be the man to see for instances that delve into Undermountain."
Yeah, I'd say me and my friends are pretty familiar with it.
It says, "There was a theft, a very famous emerald known as the Eye of the Spider, stolen from a Mirabaran embassy here in Waterdeep by a band of dwarven adventurers. We have tracked them via divination. Their trail dead ends under the mountain. The eye itself is valuable, but it is more valuable for its sentimental value and the defense of the Alliance itself. We're interested in retrieving the emerald. Do you have this capability?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Where'd you say you're from again?
I am from here, Waterdeep. The Bright Helms, he won't launch into it. He's not one to like talk about himself or anything like that. But the Bright Helms are like a minor noble house.
Okay. So the Bright Helms are requested, yeah.
As part of the Lord's Alliance. That's who he's representing, is the Lord's Alliance.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could help out with that. You have any idea how far down this dwarven band got?
Not particularly. Divination magic can be somewhat... it can have mixed results when dealing with Undermountain. There is one thing we're sure of, and that is that they are likely dead.
I'll make it a little harder to find this gem.
We already accidentally kill him?
Potentially, but it could also mean that wherever they have fallen, the gem remains.
True. Why don't you describe the gem to me?
So he can describe the gem to you. It's a spherical emerald, roughly 3 inches in diameter. There's a small imperfection in its core that is vaguely, very vaguely, shaped like a spider. That's why it's known as the Eye of the Spider. And he'll give you a brief description of the dwarves. It's a band of 4 dwarven adventurers known as Falker's Fist. The titular Falker was the leader, wore a helm shaped like a boar's head. Other than that, they don't have a lot of information on who they were or anything like that.
Do you have any information about why they went into the dungeon? Maybe we can find them by what their goal was.
We think, well, it's likely, in parts, they went into the dungeon to lose the trail that was on them for the theft of the eye. But they are also known to have been adventurers in general, so it's possible that they intended on heading into the dungeon anyways. He kind of like... He takes a pause as if he's kind of like struggling to remember something. And he says, I believe they had some associates within the city, but efforts to find and question them have been somewhat unsuccessful. We do not have good descriptions or names of them, so divination has been less than useful.
All right. Well, we can definitely keep an eye out for them while we're down there.
He nods at you and he says, I know this seems like a goose chase. We're not expecting immediate results, but if the eye can be found and returned, then it can help strengthen and reinforce our relationship with Mirabar. A good alliance between the cities is favorable for everyone, and you will be rewarded in either favor or coin if necessary. And he kind of looks around and he says, though it does not seem you need that. The Lord's Alliance makes good on assistance from members.
Well, then I think we can help each other. We'll be sure to keep an eye out for this Eye of the Spider while we're down there.
He nods and he says, Well, I must be returning home.
I don't know if I got his first name. You said he was Clan Brighthelm, but what was his first name?
Joroth. Joroth.
Not Grimalkin.
No. No.
Only one H?
Not my name. Book name.
Likely story.
Right.
Gotta bring that call back.
Well, I escort him out. I offer him a beer on his way out, if he'd like one.
I still have much to accomplish this day.
Well, if you get a hankering, we got some Malarkin ale calling your name.
I do not know what that is, but I will keep that in mind.
Ancient dwarven game.
Is good.
He gives you kind of like a brusque nod and about faces and leaves. But like he seems very much like a man on many missions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Matt. I was just talking to the guys. I was talking to Sine about Lift and how we can appreciate his efforts.
Good job.
And any way that we can build reputation or improvements on the bar go very far. So if you have any ideas or quests that could lead to that, you know.
Oh, really?
I think I might have just the job for us.
Ezra, you listening to my conversations again, boy?
Boy.
Boy. And I kind of lay out what Joreth brought to us.
Yeah, you
kind
fill
of
everyone
explain.
in, let the party know, etc.
Maybe we find this gem, we might be able to either expand the building or, do
Even-
something.
Even getting the name out through those channels could be
Mm-hmm.
very valuable.
Yep. Host a gala.
A gala, and you're like, okay.
Like
When
10
they say
10
manor,
feet,
it's
10 feet.
Maybe not
Yeah.
a gala, but maybe host a small private party
that could happen. That could
with
happen.
Malarkin Ale.
That could happen.
It does sound pretty sweet. Yeah.
A tasting or whatever.
By the way, y'all, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm gonna be out of town for a few days.
Where are you going?
I'm looking to take a bit of a hike up to the northeast. There's a mountain range up there, and I'm feeling a little homesick lately, and think it might be a good opportunity for me and Valena to connect a little bit better. So we're gonna take a hike up there and try and reach back to our roots.
Which mountain range?
Yeah, that's my bad.
Point that
misinformation.
direction.
It's northwest, not northeast.
Northwest, I say.
So I had this thing, like, almost every time I look at a map of the Sword Coast, it's a map that is almost always kind of like this, right?
The coast is north and
But
south.
exactly, but actually the coast is more like this, right? So when I look at that section of the map I normally use, that's Waterdeep, the mountain range looks like northeast-ish, but when it's in the actual map, it's tilted like this, so it's actually like northwest. It's the Sword Mountains. It's just
Okay.
outside of Waterdeep.
I was gonna say, is he sending him to the Star Mounts? What the fuck
No,
is?
it's the Sword Mountains. In fact, we can just like pop right over here, and you guys can see the area around Waterdeep. It's right up there.
We would have
So,
kind of passed that on our way to deal with the trolls.
You guys fought in it basically when you were
Yeah.
fighting with the trolls. You were in at the
Yep.
foothills of the Sword Mountains. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking to take a trip, meditate a bit up in the mountains, and try to get a better handle on these items I've found so far. I don't know that I've figured out all their capabilities or really what to do with them yet. So
You tried,
Didn't
have
I
you tried
identify
putting
them
them
for you?
together?
Did
They're
I
gonna
not give
combine.
you?
Yeah, have you tried putting them together like a transformer
I try to do so real quick.
or like a Voltron robot?
What's a robot?
It's an
Construct.
you know what an automaton is, motherfucker.
Oh, and yeah,
It's a
no,
rabbit.
a construct. Yeah.
What's a
Construct.
ribbit?
All right, okay. Before we spend 5 minutes, this is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. It's funny and it's fun, but this is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, so there are no other interruptions in your morning. So
Sick.
let's start by kind of like describing. So Matashtai, you leave, right? You head out. Okay. And then everyone else begins to go about their various daily activities. Okay? Is
All
there
right, see
anything
you
that
later.
happens? Is there anything that happens before Matashtai leaves the city and you all basically kick off your day?
Does anybody want to go find Volo?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can do that. Let's go.
Yeah, we get probably a good idea.
Do like a
It's the
round
morning
at
and
the
he
yawning
stays
portal
up.
before Matashtai heads off?
Stays up literally all night, so I assume he's dead to the world. But sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
So go ahead and get that. and
Roll me a
take you to
d20.
him.
Who wants to do that?
Ishis, Ezra.
Hey!
Easy. Where's my Yannon portal?
Yannon.
Yannon portal. What we got? A 19. Wait, you both roll?
Yeah, we.
It doesn't matter. You both succeed. Okay. You
Okay.
you arrive early morning, yawning portal. There's a very small crowd here. Mostly that crowd that already lives here, and they're just breaking their fast down in the portal. But you do find there are a couple of individuals here that are not just living here. One of which is what looks to be a horrendously hungover Bolothamp Yadarm.
Shocker.
Friends, compatriots,
You know the
Allies,
party for the holidays tomorrow, right?
I'm getting an early start. Rainair was here last night. We celebrated. I can't remember what we celebrated, but it
We
was a
definitely
celebration.
Yeah, you know, the Winter Shield Eve party.
And a party it was!
Eve.
Ah! He nearly falls off his stool.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, if you're sober enough,
Matt, maybe you can help with this.
Yeah,
Oh,
want-
punch,
we want
actually,
him
again, we've tested this.
We
I'll walk
want
over
him
and
to remember
slap him
this
across the
conversation.
face.
yeah, punch him and make him not drunk.
slap sobriety in
You
him.
slap sobriety into him, and at first he kind of like squeals that you go to swing, and he just like, what? Aww! I worked hard on that! I think I
Well,
worked hard on that.
10
Honestly,
gold.
can't remember.
You have
And you hear
plenty of time to work
you hear
back
this
at
kind of
it.
like gruff voice from over at the bar. You hear, you worked real hard on that one, from Durnan.
Cleaning out a mug.
Yep. Okay, so you guys weave the tale of
The glass
Alabaster throne.
coronal.
Super.
You found it. I was
Yeah.
beginning
Yeah.
to think that it might truly be lost forever. This is
I mean, it
excellent
was-
news.
Magically hidden, so there was that.
I will need precise instructions and location for it.
We provide that. Hey, also you're gonna need a dwarf.
Yeah, you guys. So you go through the entirety of like the level, directions to get
Or-
there,
or
the
no,
dwarf
either way.
requirement, which kind of like pillar it was, etc. And
Pulls out his journal and map
Bolothamp
notes
just
and
kind of
all
like
that stuff.
writes it all down, scribbling away.
Glad you're
Okay.
sober for that.
And he's just like, this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. He will say, who is it?
Who are you working for?
He was working for someone?
Well, not like working for someone, but I mean, the interest in the throne isn't for him.
Oh. Thought he just wanted to have a cool throne.
Oh, well, that's very generic. Thanks, game. He's working for some
You're welcome.
elven friends.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Dope. Elves,
Cool.
bro.
Thanks, game. Yes,
You're
I have
welcome.
some elf friends who are very interested in reacquiring the last throne of the coronal. Couldn't even give me like.
Just elf friends, bro. Don't worry about it.
Do your
Like
elf friends
us.
have a bounty to pay for it, or
My God,
I
I
don't remember what we agreed to for this.
You didn't agree to anything.
Oh,
Well,
there
that
was
was-
no reward.
We just
Yeah.
have to keep an eye out for
That's
it.
one of
This
those
must have
like
been-
first
must have been really,
session, like keep an eye out
early.
for this things. It only took you guys 95 sessions to find the last throne of the coronal.
But we
Yes,
didn't
yeah.
forget.
But we
I mean,
found
you
it.
kind
Yeah,
of forget.
exactly.
Forgot.
It was
I
in
don't know,
my
we were pretty
notes,
adamant
Jeremy,
every
so-
time there was a throne to confirm.
Yeah,
Fair.
every
it.
time there was a throne, we asked.
That's fair. All right. Volo takes the information. He expresses great interest and thanks for your efforts. And he says, I'm sure they will be quite thankful once the throne is back in their hands.
Ezra does acknowledge that it is near the Legion's territory,
Well into
And-
it, actually.
and we
Yeah, I'm
are
assuming you guys gave all that information to him.
we are allies with the Legion, so if they cause problems,
Oh, no
Info
trouble,
our
no
names.
trouble at all.
no. No.
I just
Invoke
hope the
our
Legion itself
name.
won't cause trouble. I've after hearing what they did to poor what was his name? The Rosnar.
Bob Odenkirk.
Say what?
Huh?
What? What?
What? Bob Odenkirk?
No. Crescendo, that was his name. After what they did to poor Crescendo, good job finding that, by the way.
I heard he was. I don't know. I heard he was on the wrong side of that altercation. To be honest with you,
Really?
I'm not one to spread any gossip.
However, do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know, Volo.
You're speaking to the biggest gossip in Waterdeep, by the way. So, as a note, if you tell him something, it's going to be spread around the city in the next hour.
I know. That's why I don't want to tell him.
Okay.
While I do don't want bands of adventurers going down trying to kill the Legion.
Sure.
I also enjoy the.
So
what's
you
his
just
name?
you just keep it on the slide. And you're just like, I don't know. I heard that he was on the wrong side.
That's just what I heard. Going around doing stuff.
Invariably, over the course of the next few days, the street criers, the tune slightly changes from the Legion killed Crescendo Rosnar to Crescendo Rosnar's death a mystery, blah blah blah. Yeah, right?
Kondo Rosnar, what really happened?
Right? Okay, cool.
Now
All
the
right.
fucking ninja tries to kill us because the story has changed.
Yeah, that would not be great.
Good thing I got my dog.
Uno momento for checks. We need this.
We already established X in Waterdeep? Wow, Bones, you work fast.
I'm telling you, an efficient banking system really runs itself.
Everyone gains 250 experience for the completion of the
Hell
last
yeah, bro.
throne of the
Yeah,
coronal.
Sweet
was-
experience.
81,
Bad math
175.
for me. 250 plus 925, 175.
89.50.
All right.
81, 175.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
Eleven.
hold up. Subtract that. That is incorrect.
God damn it, Jeremy.
Minus, what was it, 250?
250.
89,
Yeah, I was doing that off the wrong levels scenario. So that should be
Wait.
7th level.
Do we level up?
Everyone- everyone gains 750 experience.
Hey.
A little better.
80,
It's a little better
95,
for that
81,
quest.
675.
675. Yep.
Okay.
450.
Okay.
All right.
Inching forward. Excuse me. Inching forward,
did
boys.
my sheet try to level me up before? That's not right.
No, I think it's 84 or 85.
Oh, they-
It's
Oh, yeah.
85. All right. Anyways, next up, anything else that you guys are doing, or are we moving into transitionary period?
Transitionary period.
Transitionary period. Okay.
Was I gonna say something to Matt? I don't think so.
I'm gonna be very selective in who I pick for these transitionary periods, because of stuff. So
Because of stuff.
because some
Well, maybe
people are gonna have interruptions to their stuff, and other people probably aren't gonna have interruptions to their stuff.
Motherfucking interruption.
So, let's actually start with Ashes. Ashes. What is your plan over the course of the next few days?
Bro, you're late for fucking potion class, aren't you, motherfucker?
Potion
Going to
class.
class.
Okay.
There's a piece
In
of
the
toast in his
evenings,
mouth and
I'm
runs
going
out
to
the
the
door.
moon to do work.
Okay. So, on your mornings, potion class is spent down at the Sleeper's Walk in the building of the Guild of the Apothecaries and Physicians. Your tutor is a older elven woman named Beryl. She is she's very patient, right? And she is very informative. She seems like she's been doing this a very, very, very long time. You also find out through discussions with her that she does tutoring as kind of like a labor of love. She enjoys tutoring people and sharing knowledge. But she is actually a master alchemist. She makes her
shit.
living refining extremely rare materials for really powerful people in Waterdeep, right? So this is kind of her. I just like to do this kind of gig, right?
I'd like to get back.
Okay.
Like to
Wow,
give
that's,
back.
all right. Well,
Well, but that being said,
No.
you already paid for your tutelage, right?
yeah, I have deducted the cost for the classes.
Okay, fantastic. Over the course of the next couple days, obviously skipping the first because the whole city is off for the first, your tutoring is completed on the... What is it? On the 4th. And at the end of that... I say kind of the end of it. Throughout, you will have discussions with Beryl about the overall, like, what you're trying to accomplish, what the plan is. She gives you tips and tricks and pointers, obviously, aside from just teaching you the ins and outs of more extensive alchemy. And at the end of it, I've got too many fucking things open.
It
No.
do be that way.
I got too many things open, y'all. What she recommends to you, actually, she can sell you one directly. She doesn't have to recommend it to you. It's one of the things that she kind of like makes. But she will sell you, and this is part of kind of like what we've already talked about, this concept of a magically protected traveling alchemy kits. And it only has 2 slots, basically, so you can only work on 2 things at any given time. But the way in which it folds up and the abjuration magic that goes into it will keep it protected during your travels from the elements, from AoE magic, miscellaneous shit, etc. Basically, it removes the issue of potentially having problems with the alchemy itself, preserving it. Really,
And how much does she want for that?
it's 250 gold.
Sick.
250
Yeah, what?
gold.
That's
Done.
a deal, bro.
It's basically it's a 250 gold gateway to do the crafting that you want to do in the dungeon. Basically,
Yep. 2. It is done. Does this item have a name at all or a weight?
It's a mobile crafting station, is what it's called. And it is.
Oh, I had one of those in Outward. It was really heavy.
Is 20 pounds.
Yeah, that's heavy.
If only you had a bag of holding.
Okay.
You use one of the pockets in your haversack.
So
Hidden them.
that is that. Um, and then the rest of the time that you spend is at the Temple of the Moon.
Yep. Evenings
Doing-
at the Temple of the Moon.
Doing what in particular?
I do want to actually get in like a work day. I want to
Like
since
at-
I've
yeah.
contributed monetarily. I would like to do like work, whatever it is that the temple needs.
building rep with the temple.
Damn, double
Building rep
workday,
with mechanically speaking, building rep with the temple.
This is a great time for us to do this, and this is something that I wanted to do tonight. So we've had these quarter one discussions over the past week with individuals. One of the things that came to light is that I have not done the greatest job expressing increases in reputation. So I wanted to touch base with each of you and make sure that on the reputations, the renown or factions that you care about, that each of you had the actual correct numbers before we go further into things. So, Ashes, I'm assuming you care about Temple of the Moon reputation.
care about Temple of the Moon reputation.
Your current Temple of the Moon reputation is, would you like to guess?
I am assuming before anything's about to change, it's a 1.
Well, that is very incorrect.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a 1, it was a 3 because you had been doing multiple things for them, large donations to them, etc., etc.
Okay.
After your attunement and communement with Zalara, it automatically jumped by 5, the equivalent of completing a major quest for your faction. So you're now sitting at 8. Is
Good
there
lord.
any other reputation that you are invested in and you want to verify the number on? We're going to go around this and do it for everyone.
The only 2 places that I have really been cared about is Greyhand and Warden of the Moon.
Okay, your Greyhand reputation is currently... Am I blind?
By the way, decimal places work in Roll20 now for.
Oh, do they? Oh,
Yeah,
Ooh, good to know.
they're not. It doesn't throw fit no more.
resources?
Your current
goes?
Greyhand's renown is 4.
4. Okay.
Ezra, double check on renown that you care about. Harper's, I'm assuming.
Oh, yep.
Okay, that one should be an 11.
Yep. we're good.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, Matashtai, any particular renown that you care about? City Guard, Lord's Alliance.
City Guard, I'm at 11. I didn't even have a Lord's Alliance as a thing.
Your 11 on City Guard is correct. Your Lord's Alliance is currently 6.
Oh, it's way higher than I expected. Okay.
Damn.
11. Jeez.
Bones,
Hello.
renown that you care about?
And
I
one more.
Go ahead.
I briefly care about Emerald Enclave and also Guild of Fine Carvers.
Emerald Enclave is currently 8. Guild of Fine Carvers
8.
is currently 3.
Ooh, 3. I had it as a 1.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to be better about telling you guys when things go up and why they go up, for transparency. If you are interested, you also have a 10 with the Legion of Azraq, and then a 13 with the Skull Takers.
Oh, I do actually care about those.
We all have a 10 at Legion of Azraq, or is that just Bones?
That is just Bones. Ezrah has a 6 at the Legion. You and Ashes have a 6.5 at the Legion.
What was my Skull Takers was 13?
13, yeah.
Mm.
And that's because primarily every time you guys interact with a faction, there is a leader of the interaction with the faction. The leader of an interaction with the faction tends to gain the main bonus with that faction, but everyone gains vicarious amounts of experience. So for example, right, like you all have some experience with the Skull Takers. You all have some experience with the City Guard because of your deeds during Howldown. But whoever seems to be the individual that is helming that gains the lion's share. Unless it is a dual effort, or unless there is a reason for one person to gain a big experience or another person to gain another big experience. For example, that's one of the reasons why Ashes and Matashtai have slightly different renown than Ezrah does with the Legion, because they made efforts during some of their time with the Legion to do additional things. I believe Matashtai was like telling stories, or actually you were painting people's like portraits or something like that, weren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. I'm gonna try to be more communicative about how and why or and when your renown boosts. Yep. Sicko. All right, cool. Ashes, for doing your work, your big thing with the Temple of the Moon is basically done for this session. So for doing your work over the course of the next couple days, you gain. You at?
I think you said 8.
You're at 8. You gain 1.5 because it's 3 days of work, or is it 4 days of work?
Hammer.
4 days of work.
Are we working on Hammer 1?
No.
So it's the 30th, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th,
3, 4,
5th,
5.
and the 6th?
Well, he's just going to the 4th for right now. We might have to circle back around and double check, because his potion thing ends on the 4th. So sounds good. All right, so for basic work like this, again, it's one of those things where you can boost your reputation, but just doing basic work like this is very slow, right? So you gain 0.1 for each day that you spend just assisting. So you're up to 8.4.
You got it. Or I got it.
Cool. Sweet. Jump over to Bones.
It's me, baby.
Bones.
All right, on the 30th. On the 30th, I need to go and talk to Eotodin about some sort of connective portal. I offer him the fucking big ruby thing and say, hey, we found this, bro. I want to find a way to link the surface and my new forward operating base, potentially with like a chest or something. I don't know, like that's up to you.
You two discuss it at length over the course of a small meeting, 30 minutes to an hour, that type of thing. Come up with a couple ideas. Eotodin has some kind of like ballpark concepts that he will explore and run with. This isn't kind of like a typical normal situation. Do you have an ETA by which you need it?
No.
Okay.
But sooner is better.
Okay. And you're giving him the crestfallen diamond or whatever it is?
I'm giving him the shattered frostfellian diamond. Wondrous item, very rare.
Yep. So he will say, okay, it's going to take, part of the scenario is going to take a little bit of time trying to figure out how to restore this and how much he needs to restore this. He will do some research and then he'll get back to you. Okay. And
So-
then what else do you want to do for the day?
I can be reached by Raven or Fat Squirrel.
Gotcha. Raven or fat
Squirrel.
squirrel. Nice.
That's a
Okay.
beer, by the
Correct.
way.
That's that's a
Okay.
beer. Nice.
I have 60 pounds of mithril strands that I would like to sell.
Okay.
I forgot that I had these, I'll be
60
honest with you.
pounds of mithril strand.
I will offer them to Avery and Emric.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll take it, 100%. As long as they can afford it. Let me double check. You have how many pounds?
60.
60. You have 60 pounds.
Yes, 61 pound strands is what I have.
Avi and Imbric are astounded by this, and they're like, "Holy shit! We
Oh, is this a
definitely
really cool
want
thing?
we definitely want some, but that's a bit much." So they arrange. They will tell you because I'm assuming this isn't something you want to spend a whole lot of time with. They will
Not.
buy it from you in a lump sum, and they'll arrange some trades with some other craftsmen in the ward to try to kind of like offload this. It's
Yeah, I'll take like a payment plan
it's
or whatever.
3,000 gold worth of mithril.
Jesus God. Okay, well, was unaware that's what that was. Okay.
Yeah, so they tell you it's mithril, and
well.
that's an incredibly rare, sought-after metal.
Well, I don't deal with metals, so that makes sense.
It's extremely valuable, and in the value of 60 pounds is 3,000 freaking gold.
Okay.
60 pounds, like a set of half plate weighs 40. So that's a whole, like, mithril half
Yeah.
plate.
I have a bag of holding, so
Well, yeah.
Doesn't
There's a
Mistral,
lot
like,
going on there.
triple the cost of the piece of armor or something like that?
Something like that. But look, I'm working off of prices from the book. I don't question it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, yeah, okay, cool, man. Y'all are cool. Take it.
Okay. There's 3,000 gold for you. Figure out what you want to do with it.
Whatever the split is on that, I'm pretty sure we all got that somehow.
What
together.
else for your day?
Okay, I will finally go and I will go to the shop. I will visit with Ochotu, and then I just want to start. Okay, first of all, I'll ask him, has anyone come by? Do we have any orders? Does anyone want anything?
Ochotu will. It is very like short. Just got you say, interest low, but good. Cold, snowy. Had to shovel much. Not much foot traffic.
Makes sense.
Need more
Yeah.
time. Advertising. Advertising? New word.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I will leave.
Also, he'll tell you basically like he's been keeping records, so you'll get a record of the business on the first.
Interesting. Okay. I would like to do a few things here. I will leave him 130 gold, 100 for rent next month. And then maybe I'll just drop it off.
Just
myself.
hold
I'll
on,
take
yeah,
care
just hold on to that because
I'll take care of it myself.
yeah, I have a whole like expense report that I'm just gonna
Okay,
yell at you
okay.
guys for.
I'll take care of it myself, and then I will spend the rest of the day working with him, just making shit for the shelves.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Dags, short swords, staves,
trinkets,
druid bullshit. You
Yeah.
know, chandeliers.
some fetishes.
You know what would sell well?
Right, like
Earrings.
Chotu really
Finger
likes to
armor.
make like fetishes or necklaces or like
yeah,
little,
yeah. Fucking little warlock weird things
Oh,
for
hell yeah.
warlocks to wear.
Finger armor. That stuff's
Yeah,
great.
shit like that.
You
know,
can't
so
go to
when
like a
you-
knife show without seeing some like gaudy ass finger armor.
Yeah,
cool,
so
very
that's
cool.
what I do. I spend the day just making that shit. You know, it's like, not masterwork stuff, but I'm pretty good at what I do. So just pumping up nice looking shit that I think people would want to buy. And specifically, like I know druids, they don't like metal, obviously. So like druid stuff, staves, bone shield, things like that.
Oh shit.
Chandelier, weird finger armor.
Gotcha. All right, cool. All right. So that is day 1 for you. What are you doing on the first?
Okay, starting as soon as Night Owl 1 wakes up, I say, okay, guys, I will not be back for the next. I will not be back for the next 3 days.
Night Owl 1, we're going back a month.
Hammerfall 1, fuck off. On December the 1st, I wake up and I say I will not be back for 3 days.
January 1st.
Cine has a sending stone if you need me. Please do not contact me. And then I leave a note in my room that says, LOLOL, fuck off, I have the book, cat face.
Okay.
Poking the bear.
Gotcha.
Then I leave for the Enclave.
All right.
Where on the way I pick up 3 days worth of food and water.
Okay.
And I hold up and read the book for 16 hours a day.
Fantastic. When you arrive, Melanor greets you. You're brought in, and you hit this. Melanor kind of like blinks at you. You arrive, and there are 2 bloody splotches on either side of the doorway.
The assassins? Is that who they were?
And there's no like signs of any bodies. It's just like blood splashes on either side of the door. And Melanor just kind of like blinks at you and he says, "They had the audacity."
I told you.
It was very surprising considering where we are.
Yeah, Jareth just splatter him, or
She was not happy. The volcano thing again, but oof.
yeah, I told you. Yeah, well, I'm glad we're in the right place. So I'll just be in the back room for 3 days or so.
Okay.
Be out of your hair.
Absolutely. So over the course of the next 3 days, you just read and stare at diagrams and study and apply, and you're up and you're moving about and you're reading and you're like, wait, that doesn't make. And you have to go back and read through a passage again, right? And you never thought that you could get such a workout. Your body is sore after the end of the next 3 days because you're having to apply all of what you're learning, right? Test it out, try it
I
out,
did the
etc.
Black Widow pose,
Right.
Such
So-
a poser.
I climb up on the ceiling and I drop down and do the Black Widow pose.
Very good.
Superhero landing. Here, those are bad on the knees.
There. You're not alone in the house, in the manor, right? Obviously there's the spirit, Jareth, right? The power behind Falconmere Manor, and Melanor, right? But there are other individuals that come and go. As you are going through these days, you never actually encounter any of these individuals. They're just either you see them walking down a hall or you see them in a room when you're going to get food or what have you, right?
Emptying the piss bottles,
One of the figures that you see periodically throughout your stay at Falconmere Manor is a walking turtle.
Whoa, yo.
A walking turtle? Don't turtles normally walk?
Yeah, don't
Sorry,
turtles walk?
a walking upright, large turtle person.
Oh, a turtle.
A turtle.
Okay. Cool.
Which is a pretty rare sighting for anywhere in this part of the world. That's it. That's it. As you kind of like finish,
Grow and speak like a
right?
god. I'm sorry.
you go through this belabored experience, and you finish the last sentence of the book, and you visibly watch. You can see this kind of like diminishing of the book itself. Like it shrinks to half the size that it was, and it just loses its luster.
And the physical book shrinks. Okay. Interesting.
And
And I get my two decks.
you get your +2 dex.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. And as you are leaving, right? When all is said and done, and as you are leaving, Melanor stops you and he says, good. Your task is completed.
It is, yeah. Dang, that was a lot of fun.
Hopefully it will provide you with the boon you seek. Speaking of boons, and he kind of like hands
What day
out
did you finish?
to you.
Bones?
This is I finished reading on the 3rd.
Well, it's basically the end of the 3rd.
End of the,
So-
yeah. Very end of the 3rd.
So Melanor reaches out and presses a little it's like a wire pendant of leaves and a little flower in the center, but it's all like it's all made from minerals and little metal bits and bobs and things like that. None of it's real. Okay.
None of it's real?
None of it's
Oh, no, it's real
none
flowers.
of it's
I
plant
understand.
matter, right? Like
I understand. Okay, gotcha.
and he says, you have performed a service for us. We would be remiss if we did not assist you in kind. It is a small token, but hopefully it will prove useful. And I imagine, right, like you and Melanor spoke throughout the length of your stay there on occasion.
Yeah,
and,
hey,
you know,
look
you-
at this new pose I learned.
You recounted tales of your deeds and your battles and things like that. Melanor presses into your hand a charm of restoration,
Oh, what is that?
which is basically it's a limited use item that you can. It only has 6 charges on it. You can use 4 of the charges to cast Greater Restoration, or you can use 2 of the charges to cast Lesser Restoration.
Oh, wow.
Once you use all the charges, it's done. It loses. It's dead.
Cool.
So I will give you a copy pasta for that.
Okay.
But he gives it to you. He says he and Jareth put it together after hearing about your poisoning experience,
Oh, yeah, I did get really poisoned.
right?
Wow,
And he says,
that's so cool. Thank you.
hopefully it will be of use. A small token, but we wanted to show our appreciation.
I appreciate it quite a bit. Charm of Restoration, flower pendant.
And that's it.
Super cool. Hey, by the way, who was that turtle?
A former adventurer. He resides here off and on. His spirit has long since left this realm, but his body, his gods see fit to use it.
Oh, turtles can do that, huh? That's pretty cool.
He said he kind of like grimaces about it. He doesn't seem entirely comfortable with the whole thing, right? You know, the Emerald Enclave is very against necromancy and the undead, right? And you can tell this is kind of like borderline sus for them. But the way he describes it, right, is that it's weird for them, but it's a very natural process for the individual. Or at least for the gods involved. So,
Wow. Dang, that's a really cool dude.
he was a really cool dude. I miss him.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I will. I'll see you later. Send the fat squirrel if you need me. Really enjoyed my time here.
As you leave, roll a 1d100.
Okay. 1d100. I rolled a 65. There are 65 bloody corpses throughout the fucking entryway.
No, there isn't. But as you walk out of the gates of Falconmere, in the cold winter wind, the bundled snow, there is a man standing across the way in deep blue robes. And one hand is kind of like drawn up under his chest, and the other, which is made of blackened metal, is just resting on his chin. And he's got this kind of like bluish hood up, long black hair from what you can see, right? He just looks across at you.
You got a metal hand?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Looks across at you. And like gaze, it like gives you this big, like long up and down. And then he visibly, audibly sighs, right? Just and he just disappears. He's just gone. There's this pop sound and he's just fucking gone.
He realized you finished using the book and it's useless.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm sure he realized that was his super assassin. That guy's crazy. Metal hand? Okay. I mean, okay. It's like, that was weird.
Maybe make a note of that for the future.
No, it's fine. Probably won't come up again.
That's
Sounds
fine.
good. All right.
Okay, cool. All right. Anything else for your scenario? You head back home, rest.
That is the end of the third day. On the fourth day, I had overflow day for book things in case things happen. So that's not super useful. I would like to use this day to seek out dwarves or dwarven historians and find out what it means to follow the old ways.
Roll me an investigation check.
Okay.
Your DC
Follow
is
the old ways.
an 18.
Well, that's lower than I expected.
That was about right. Natural 20!
Well, okay then.
Wow.
You end up.
Oh,
You end up in the castle ward.
20.
In a bar. A longhouse, basically.
Oh, I left the channel on accident.
you end up in the castle ward in a bar that is basically a longhouse with a bunch of dwarves and have a incredibly raucous evening, drinking and them telling tales of the good old days, the times before. The issue that you find is that most of what they tell you, even these dwarves, the older dwarves, is still anecdotal because even the older dwarves weren't alive when this was a thing, right?
Yeah.
But what you gather about the overall concept from this type of interaction is that the old ways were a system of alliances between dwarves, between Zorn, between Galeb-Dur, between a bunch of kind of almost either very much elemental or semi sort of elemental creatures. Whereas the dwarves would gain benefits from the protection or the assistance of creatures like the Galeb-Dur or the Zorn. The dwarves in turn kind of did basically worship to those creatures, right? The creatures themselves were more than capable of fending for themselves, but what they found with the old ways was they assisted the dwarven kingdoms, and then the dwarven kingdoms treated them like these amazing creatures of the earth, these sought after beings to be rewarded and pampered. It's almost kind of like the concept of almost kind of like a knight or something like that, right? They had a duty, they had a job, right, to perform. The Zorn specifically, right, to find minerals and metals and gems and things like that for dwarven miners, to lead them to the sources of these great troves. But in turn, the dwarves would do things like you saw in that image, right? Foster these kind of like megalithic creatures with showers of praise and jewelry and holidays and things like that.
Okay, so we just got to be bros. Got it.
So the old ways, as far as you can kind of tell from these tall tales that these drunken dwarves are telling you, is basically, yeah, it's this kind of like mutually beneficial relationship where really the dwarves are getting the better end of the benefit, but it's basically them being worshippers to these elementals.
Okay, yeah, I got you. That's awesome. So you said I'm in a dwarven bar?
Yeah, and it's basically a longhouse.
He says, "This is now my favorite bar."
It is next to my own. But
He's a bar. He's a dwarf as well.
because I'm a dwarf.
that's
Yes,
that
I'm
thing.
also a dwarf. I start dropping real cryptic hints and stuff like, "Oh man, the old ways sound cool. Wouldn't it be cool if we could go back to like where the Malarican like were and like live there and create like a paradise for crafting and carousing and yeah." I start dropping stuff like that. And if anyone shows any interest, I make note in my cat brain.
I mean, there's interest in the fact that they're all drunken dwarves, and you're like, the old ways, yeah, the old ways, and they're like, the old ways, ah, right? I mean, but it's in that kind of like theoretical interest. Of course, they're all interested, but until something tangible is a thing, then
Well, at least
I
I
don't
know.
imagine a goblin horde there that they have to deal with as well.
hey, you know.
Deal with. You mean work alongside in peaceful harmony?
You don't know goblins very well, sir.
I know my goblins, sir. They have wars. So okay, well at least I know where my flyer is going eventually. Okay, cool. Well, is that would probably be my day? Yeah, just like carousing and finding that out. That's cool. That's no problem with me. And then I have the last 2 days, but I mean
Let's leave those open for now. Just
I'll just leave
notate
them
when your
open.
last day that we've actually gone through was, and we
I have
might.
done.
So we're gonna jump over to Ezra now, and then we'll finish up with Matashtai. One of the things that I want to interject with, though, is, and I assume Ezra and Ashes can let Bones know about this because he will be gone when this happens. But on the 1st, there is a delivery made to the lifted spirits. Basically, the city's shut down, but a package is delivered, and it is, as you unwrap it, it's a half keg of what is marked as snow beetle cider. And it has a note, and the note on it simply says, "Thanks, best wishes." And there's a wax seal stamped onto it, and it's the seal of the Lamplighters.
What did we do?
What the fuck? I don't understand, dude. They
I
need to be
still
less
don't know
cryptic.
what we did for them.
Why are they so cryptic? Y'all best get that tested for poison. I don't know why they got to be so
The
cryptic.
immediate thing I was thinking too. This needs to be tested.
Well, technically, I haven't been doing this for, even though I could have since the beginning of the campaign. I can test liquids for poison.
I mean,
With
I
my
think I
alchemical
can
set.
too as an alchemist.
Yeah.
I could just do that.
So, anyways, that is that. Ezra, what are you doing? The 30th. What's happening? Or let's try to do this in a chunk if we can. What's happening?
So I have a series of things that I want to research.
Gotcha.
When I use the term research, I think we've loosely determined that's me in the library with my nose in books. But I would potentially broaden that horizon to chasing leads and socializing to
Sure.
do that. So it's not necessarily always being a
Well, I
library.
mean, a very big portion of the at the library stuff isn't you having noses as books. It's talking to people at the library and getting leads on those types of things, etc., etc. Yeah.
If things lead me outside of the library, that's completely kosher. But that is the major intent of the workday. With the primary things that the bulk of my time going towards is and finding someone that has insight into devils, being that we have potentially a name of a devil that has a vendetta against us, and trying to find information on Varash too.
All right, that one sounds like an investigation check. Let's do that.
His name is Peppa, and he will
Point
be
of
your
inquiry,
research.
because I will ask it every time.
No.
My glasses, do they bear?
They do not assist in this particular one.
10.
Because, like you said, this one is more along the lines of you finding people and having conversations and things like that. You're not poring over a tome
You know
with
what?
your spectacles.
I
thing.
think, if I remember correctly, I can spend a sorcery point and do that at advantage. I will reroll that.
Should you just take
A
the
12.
12.
God damn you, natural 20, you spider.
So you find a couple of people to kind of like discuss the topic with, and you kind of get into those kind of like not scholarly debates or anything like that, but into those philosophical, discussions, etc., etc. And you end up doing this over the course of a day. You don't make much headway, unfortunately. The issue being is that even if you do actually have the devil's real name, which is most of the people that you talk to tell you that's incredibly unlikely, right? Like incredibly unlikely that is the devil's real name. That type of thing, right? Even if you do, the ones that are like, okay, hypothetically, you have the devil's real name, you're going to have to jump through quite a few hoops for it to make any sort of difference, right? There's dozens of routes that you could take with various auguries or divinations to try to verify and then ascertain, etc., etc. But to really accomplish anything with the devil's true name, you're going to need, well, kind of devilish magic, right? Blood sacrifices or bloodletting or maybe a summoning ritual from a demon. You're gonna need something else to really make use of the devil's name. And even at that, unless you're trying to bind, it's going to be especially difficult to do much of anything. This particular situation sounds like it's likely that the devil already has a binding, so you won't be able to summon the creature until it is sent back to the hells. That's what you get with the 12. A bunch of non-specifics, basically.
Oh, well.
All right.
Thank you guys
do
for
you
fucking me twice.
do you further this line of investigation, or do you swap to something new?
So are we rolling per day?
Basically, yeah.
I will spend the next day chasing another lead with the potential of coming back to that.
Next lead.
The next lead is the fucking bane of my goddamn existence. The shadow under the mountain.
Roll an investigation check, my friend. You have investigated this before. It is a hard DC.
And explicitly, the focus of this, yes, any information is important. This is definitely a huge thread for what I'm trying to do.
You want to use your
finding
sorcery
a
point for
way
advantage right away?
to protect against it. And yes, I'm going to burn a Sork point.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
You protect.
18.
Better than a fucking 12.
You
Man, you and those
find
12s.
Can I burn another 2 sorcery points right around? Can I abuse my abilities, Jeremy, please?
Not quite.
God damn.
You find so many references to Shadow, and having conversations, reading through books. You find references to something called Night and Shadow and something called Down Shadow. You find references to a place called Shadow Dusk. But every time you try to kind of, like, you find journals, you find discussions, you find conversations about the Shadow, and most of those other things you can set aside as it just has Shadow in the name. That's not what I'm looking for. You find some of those conversations and so those journals about the Shadow, and you can pinpoint that, okay, this is actually what I'm talking about. The vast majority of them are absolute ravings, indecipherable gibberish, or just their hearsay of hearsay, right? It's a third party writing from the information given to them by an individual who heard the story of, right? Or that type of thing. So
Sisters,
it just
brothers, cousins.
it doesn't get you anywhere, unfortunately.
Yep.
And then, so that's the result of your second one, which would have been on the second.
Yes.
On the third, Rainier shows up. And your daily plans are kind of sent awry as basically Rainier says, wonderful. I'm here on business, but not this business. Let's talk. And he means specifically with Ezrah. Although others are welcome to sit in who are there. But Ezrah, he basically sits down with you and he says, "All right, we've had a couple things happen. We've had some things come to light in our investigations with Calabash, and in our investigations into Undermountain and to Halaster and the Shadow." The Has Narketa, you still have it on your person, yes?
I pull it out.
Some
Any
of
of it.
Calabash's rantings, some of what we have been having recurring references back to this artifact. There's something to do with it. So we set a team to try to see if they could honestly kind of brute force their way through it. Every divination spell that they could think of, they threw at it over and over and over and over again. They kept coming back to one thing, almost as if they were led there, as if they were pointed in its direction. A place in Undermountain. They say, apparently, it's called Madgoth's Castle. that mean anything to you?
I've come across references it for myself, but location-wise, haven't been able to pin it down.
Well, I think we might have done that for you. It's kind of vague. The floors don't quite sit in, and the divination doesn't work very well.
Yeah, they're not necessarily, one on top of the other. We've noticed that too.
But I believe it to be the 7th level of the dungeon. The divination that we performed leads us to believe that a piece of the Hasnarketa is there. And that it is somehow tied to all of this, all of what we are trying to discover. The Shadow, Halaster, etc. And he holds out, he reaches into a satchel at his hip, and he holds out a little intricate orb. That's kind of like, there's something inside of it, but it's kind of like metal wiring all around the side. It's small, fits in your hand, right? And he says, the diviners told me to give you this. They said you would need it to get into the castle.
Hey, so a key to the castle.
I don't know. They didn't explain what it would do or how it would assist you. They just were insistent that you would need it to enter.
How do I find this missing piece?
Once you're in the castle...
Outside of it being in the castle, it could be hidden in a vault or a hidden
I assume
chamber.
the castle has a resident. I can think of no other, other reason for it to be there unless the place is abandoned, in which case, explore as you will, I suppose. Unfortunately, we have no other leads to go on in this particular situation. Somewhat. And again, he reaches into the satchel and he pulls out a tome, right? And this is a fucking... It's like a tome, right?
Okay.
And he kind of like hefts it forward towards you and just plops it in your hands, and it's like, ooh, right? And it's new. It's not old. It's not ancient or anything like that. And he says, "That's, my friend, that is every crazed, maddened word to come out of Calabash's lips since you brought him up."
Oh my god.
Jesus.
A lot of words.
I'll be honest with you. It's gibberish. The vast majority of it can't be anything but gibberish. But as I said, we've been able to ascertain some information, almost as if there's hidden coded information here or there. We have our own copies, but I thought, if you're going to be the one down there doing the things, well, maybe you might see something or catch something, be able to spend some free time perusing and something catch a glimmer in your eye. Who knows? Hopefully it will be of assistance.
Yes, no, that this is fantastic. I've been looking for a way to be useful in downtime under the mountain, and
He kind of like, I'm sure you're useful.
thanks. But if we can get more information while we're down there, that's huge. Thank you.
Absolutely. I can only hope that our combined efforts will eventually see this quest to its fruition.
That's the end goal. And as you can see, we're doing pretty well here. Thanks for helping fund that.
Of course. And there's a conversation about what you guys owe him, and we'll hit that up here in a little bit as kind of like the annual expenses come in for everyone, that type of thing. Yeah, that's about it as far as like Rayner has to go over with you. Unless there's any like immediate questions that you have for him, he spends some time with you, but then he takes his leave and then heads on about other duties.
Can't think of anything.
Okay. So that would have been the third. Let's pop in the fourth real quick for you, and I think that will catch you up to Ashes and Bones real
Do I
fast.
have a name for this tome?
No. It's whatever you want to name it. It's Calabash's Ravings, right?
Calabash's Tome is what it will be called.
It's legitimately, they just had like a stenographer just like, oh god, this man is crazy, right? Just like, I imagine they actually like broke the mind of 3 different ones the entire time. Is that stenographer, or is that, am I thinking the dictator? Dictation? Dictator? Stenographer is like a drawer, isn't it? Or stenographer is the typer, right?
I think that's a typer.
You're muted, Zach.
Yeah, the court typer.
Court typer. Yeah.
How heavy is this massive?
We'll say 10 pounds.
Literally as much as you can.
It's
carry.
a big ass book.
It's half of my haversack.
Half of your haversack is a big book. You might just like make a fucking like harness for it on your back,
I love this. So
make your pseudo dragon carry it around.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Anything for you on the fourth, or do you want to do another round of research?
So I will call out that outside of the 8 hours of research, I would have done shopping around for any other books or anything of note to help
To feed Zeltzor's
alleviate
scenario?
Zeltzor.
Absolutely.
And
You can just we can talk about like how much money you're willing to spend and how much that'll get you.
So,
we can do that
something to
in
keep
between.
him preoccupied so he feels like he's being a valued asset.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you get him good books, he might actually be able to find some information for you.
Yep.
If you if you specifically try to buy tomes,
But
if you specifically try to buy tomes about subjects you're interested in researching, he will, he'll read through them and take notes, and you can cliff note things at a later date.
we can have that conversation. Aside from that, day 3. Do I care enough about Varash too to?
The old ways. We need to confirm the old ways.
From the old ways.
I have 3 other things that I have higher on that list than the old ways.
Let's
This
figure
is
it out,
way
though.
more important.
Which one do we want to
more
do?
days up topside, so
No,
I
no,
can
no.
spend more
Which one
research.
you doing on the third? Let's figure it out and roll for it.
Look, Jake, enjoy this while you can get it, because you're not getting it again.
I
It's
know,
gonna-
and I hate it. Y'all
It's gonna be
motherfuckers.
literally a year
again.
and a half. It's gonna be
Absolutely
forever.
getting it again.
Y'all give me this list of things I need to look into,
You've
and then
not
like, oh
done
hey,
that
you're
yet,
not gonna have time to
Melania.
look into any of them anyways. So
Make your decision.
You were given one.
I
no,
think we're
I
trying to-
wasn't.
For years.
We're trying to finish downtime today, right?
You want to know what else is on my
Yeah,
list?
We're trying to make good progress today.
The inheritor of the troll skull from Troll Skull Manor, which wasn't something I cared about. Someone else said, "Hey, you should look into this."
We don't give a shit
Oh,
about
hey,
that, though.
the hags and what this leads to. Also, not something that was on my list originally.
All right, what do you want to do?
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Always.
The shadow. The shadow is what
Roll it up.
terrifies me the
Investigation.
most. And I'm just gonna go ahead and burn the sword point right away and just do it at advantage.
Oh, I need to
I
start.
hate this fucking game.
Unfortunate. So you're making little bits of incremental progress here. The conversations that you're having aren't worthless. They're just not the
Natural
leaps that
20
you're
from
wanting.
before.
No, you cannot. All right, so that was the third, and then this would be the fourth. What do you want to do on the fourth? Same thing? Rolling again?
Yeah, I'm
Do it up.
this is what scares me the most.
Do it. 24. Okay. So specifically, and again, right, like each of your failures is incremental progress, lowering the DC further, right? So they're not useless. You are still spending time researching the topic. Unfortunately, with a 24, the only new solid information that you get is the it's the journal of an adventurer, 100 years old or more, right? And it very briefly talks about a place within Undermountain called Van Rack Doom. And it is briefly described as a place that the shadow holds. A place where one can cross over into the other plane. A place where the Dark Mistress rules.
It's crazy, bro.
And
Called
by the way, that
Rock Doom.
Van
The
Rack
Dark
Doom.
Mistress.
Rack.
Does that mean anything to me?
Yeah, roll a history check
Religion.
or religion.
No,
But
I'm not
history is
rolling
your
with
thing. Do you have advantage on your history check?
And my spectacles give me advantage.
No, they do not. It sounds super duper familiar, but for whatever reason, you've just been processing so information that you're like, I should totally know this, but I mean, there's a lot of dark mistresses. It
Lolth,
eludes
it
you.
could be the Raven Queen. It could be.
It eludes you at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
All right, and that is your 4 days, assuming, or that is
outside
day
of
4
that,
for you.
Every night it's the dome and messing with my elemental magics, and
Sounds great.
I'm good.
Good.
I'm Gucci.
Matashtai.
Alone.
So you head to the stables on the 30th, right? Saddle up Gallant. Gallant has this thick winter coat and is rather plump. Looks like he's been fed one too many apples.
You'll
And
work that off.
the stable hands are kind of like, "Aw, but he's such a good horse." Okay, right, and they,
Don't worry, coming back.
they get him lathered up, and you go through the stages of getting geared up and getting him packed up and etc. before beginning to ride out of the north of Waterdeep, and you make it to the North Yard, which is in the Field Ward, right? Which is the northern district of Waterdeep. You make it to the North Gates, which is closed. Most of the gates of the city are closed off in the winter. They're little postern gates, right? They're little side gates to allow the very few travelers that are through. But generally speaking, most of the stuff works on skeleton crews, so most of the stuff is, gates are lowered for defense, etc., etc. So as you are going through the motions of leaving through one of these postern gates, right? There's guardsmen at work all around, right? And one of them, who is over by what looks to be kind of like a bounty board or something like that, right? Is busy doing paperwork, and he looks up as you're beginning to travel past, right? And he looks up. Hold on! Where do you think you're going? Apprehend that man! And there's not like this huge, like, dog pile or anything like that, but immediately two guardsmen interpose themselves between you and the gate, right? And another one begins to kind of like walk over to you from the side, and this guy at this table begins to kind of like rifle through papers, and he says, "Yeah, I knew it." And he holds up a sheet of parchment that has your likeness drawn on it, and he says, "Right, it says right here, you're not to leave the city. The Watch has eyes on you."
We paid our fines.
No, this is because
Oh.
fucking we do stupid shit and Satan and whoever hate us.
No, you guys were specifically told during the last like little exchange with the thieves not to leave Waterdeep.
Oh god.
and
That's true.
and
That's
Matashtai, that exact thing happens to you. You have this realization, and you're just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Right? And you hear this voice call out from behind you, and you hear, "Do you have any idea who you're talking there, Sergeant? That's Matashtai, hero of the 4th. Do you hear about that work at Haldown?" And you recognize this voice calling out from behind you. You turn, look over your shoulder, and you can see riding a mare up towards you is Hallow Harden.
Hello.
hello.
And you see all the guardsmen like around kind of like start whispering, and they start look at you, and the sergeant, right, the one at the table, is just like, well, be that as it may, strict orders from the Watch. And you hear this kind of like, "From the Watch, Sergeant? Really? You're gonna listen to the Watch rather than me." And he kind of like, he looks and he says, "Oh, well, I didn't know you were in this particular case. If you were," and she kind of like, "Quit your stammering. He rides with me. You have an issue with it? You're gonna stop us both?" And the sergeant just says, "No, ma'am. Of course not, ma'am. Very sorry, sir. Good luck on your travels. Be safe out there. A harsh winter." And he's just like, "I want out of this interaction, please, no." Right? And you like, everyone can see it. Everyone's reacting. Even Callow's kind of reacting like to this guy's hyper like concern about the situation. Like, everyone, you can see it on everyone's face. It's like, "Dude, calm down. You're doing your job. That's fine." Right? But Callow's pulling rank in this particular situation. And she kind of like rides up to you, and she's like, "All right, well, let's go."
All right. Then we start clopping out of the gate.
You leave out of the north gate at Callow's side, and you begin to ride down the high road. And she says, "I have no idea what you have gotten yourself into, but I can imagine making trouble as usual."
Yeah, you know it. We had a couple of thieves break in the other night. And apparently turning them in gets put on a list.
Well, I'm assuming when you turned them in, one or more were no longer of this world.
Not by my hand. I just
That's-
knocked mine unconscious.
That's what gets you put on the list. Because they have to verify and do some divination and make sure there's no trickery involved.
Fell out of a window. It's not our
Yeah.
fault.
It's true. I think the
He
ones
fell
that
out of a
did die
window and
jumped.
there's like multiple sword wounds in him.
Oh, yeah, that's on me.
Oh,
What kind of
goodness.
Ezra going?
Actually,
Yeah.
I think that's on the Black Viper. I think yours lived.
Okay, yeah, it's not on me then.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, motherfucker. I'm good.
I could be wrong. It might be the other way around, though. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Anyway, sorry, continuing.
Sorry. But yeah, that makes sense. kind of forgot about it until you rolled up to my rescue there.
Well, that was a pretty fortuitous circumstance, I would say.
Absolutely. Where are you heading?
And you can actually see she's as packed up as you are, and as bundled up as you are. And she says, "Off to see friends in Amphale for Winter Shield, actually. Thought it'd be nice to get out of the city. It's been a bit much here lately."
I think we can ride together for a bit. I'm heading up to the Sword Mountains. Bit
And
of a...
who says I want to ride with you?
Right?
Well,
She
excuse me.
she grins at you and she says, "The company would be welcome. The roads are safer for what we do during Howldown, but an extra back would always..."
You bet. And kind of just get into the groove of
Yeah, absolutely.
traveling.
There's chatting here and there, and then there's these long pauses of silence, and sometimes you guys ride together through the snow-covered high road, and other times, right, one is ranging ahead or back or what have you. It's horribly cold, and it's snow fucking everywhere, right? But it's pleasant. It's serene. There's just it's not, there's life everywhere, right? But there's also this kind of nothingness that you have to worry about.
Like
Right,
a
it's-
quiet
it's-
to the world in winter.
Yeah, it's just calming. You end up having to camp a night on the road. It's a long journey. It's about 2 days to Amphale, about a day and a half to the foot of the Sword Mountains, where you two presumably split, leave each other's company, and you begin to head actually into the foothills and then to the mountain bases. Anything you want to say or talk about or do before you and Callow part ways?
I'll just tell her, hey, next time you're in Waterdeep, why don't you stop by? Have a beer with us.
She says, I keep meaning to do so, but every time, right, I have stopped by twice. You all weren't there either time. It happens,
we are
I know, I
pretty
understand.
busy.
But, definitely, I'll keep stopping by, even without your presence. It's a nice establishment,
We've been working on tidying up the place as much as we can.
Keep working.
Fair enough. Well, you have fun with your relatives there in Amphale?
So,
Or
relatives.
friends? Sorry, friends, not relatives.
I'll do my best. Stay safe out there. It's, you're heading into wild country. Be careful.
Will do.
Crazy monk. And she rides off. Right. And over the course of the next half a day, you make your way further into the foothills before presumably you find a nice place to start your vision quest.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the area, set up camp. Make sure I feed Gallant, get them all situated, nice
Absolutely.
and close to the fire, keep warm.
I mean, he's a
and I-
horse. He's got his winter coat on. He's good to go, right? Like,
Yeah, he's chilling.
he's just like, what? It's cold? Ooh, food.
Yeah, maybe do a little hunting first.
Sure.
Catch me a rabbit or something. I don't know. I don't know what moves around in winter, but those things are what I
Yeah,
shoot.
absolutely.
And then start brewing some tea.
All right. You sat down, kind of like going through the motions of preparing this brew, this tea, right, to assist you on your vision quest, right? And as you do, right, Velina begins to speak to you. She says, all right, I'll bite. What exactly is our goal here?
I don't even know.
I mean, I'm not complaining. This sounds like a fun time regardless, but I mean, this is a bit more than hearkening back to home. We're out in the wilderness alone. At least at the Presidium, we had people to watch our backs.
True. But, I don't know. Kind of felt like we needed to get away for a bit. We've gathered up 3 of the items so far, 3 of the artifacts. But I don't
Made
feel
amazing
like
progress.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. But I don't know that we know much about them yet. We've pretty much picked them up and using them. We haven't really connected with them. We don't know what makes these artifacts a Buldre. What connects us to the previous champions. I don't know. And I don't know. Thought it might be good for you and I to get away and chat a little bit more. Been kind of going non-stop since we've been here.
That's true. All good points, I think. Very valid. Just, I mean, you know Liu Sun would be proud of you, right? Like, you're doing good. You're succeeding.
I hope so. Yeah, would have been nice to have him with us.
Of course. Well,
But I think the best thing to do is keep on the road we're on. Make sure we make
Agree.
it back with everything.
even if we don't succeed, even if whatever the final I'm with you all the way. However far you want to take this. And if you decide somewhere along the way that it's not worth it anymore, that you'd rather go home, there's no shame in that.
Yes, there is.
Your master didn't bring you into this with success being the only option. You know that.
Yeah, I know it. And I appreciate that.
All right, enough serious talk. Let's get drugged and do whatever this is.
We're drugging up. Yeah, we brought
And,
some.
and Valetta's very like, oh, I don't really know what to do with myself. I'm a little,
So if we do this right, you might actually get to kind of sit across the fire from me. We'll actually be able to
What do I
separate.
do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands? I have hands! I have hands!
Oh wait, I don't have any hands. Yo!
But yeah, then we brew up some tea, get fucked up, meditate.
You get fucked up.
White
It
boy
is
wasted.
a weird experience. You
love
feel more connected, less connected, disconnected, reconnected. You have these long conversations with Valena, and then it feels as if you're like, who is Valena, right? And there's like you have this moment, like you recall these like little flashes of across the fire, this woman, this spectral figure sitting across from you, right? And
Sounds like shrooms.
it is
Basically.
early evening, probably, when this happens, when this next bit happens. You hear this kind of like snort, this whinny from Gallant, who's hobbled nearby, right? And then you hear this. You begin
he
to
doing something? I don't
feel
hear
this kind of like pressure of wind, right?
I think he means like wings beating.
And
We
you're
didn't know
like,
that sound.
you're super duper like, you're still very out of it
Mandius.
as you watch as a immense dragon of copper flies over your campsite, hovers, wings beating, looks at you, looks at your horse, looks at you, and kind of like gives you this tilted, quizzical look. And this thing's like 100 feet up in the air above you, right? And then just flies away northward, a little deeper into the mountains of the valley that you're kind of like in. And you hear in your mind, you hear, wow, that's so beautiful. What? Isn't Boldre's aspected form a copper dragon?
It is.
How?
I immediately kind of
crazy
look up and
is
start like walking.
that? It's just flying away northward, and you see it flies a little way northward, and then goes down. Like it doesn't like plummet, but it like descends.
Is that a? I feel like that's Vision Quest to follow.
What?
All right.
Whoa! I don't think I can walk anywhere.
Don't worry, I'll give you a piggyback ride.
Okay.
I don't want to just leave Gallant here, though.
It looks to be, judging the distance, it looks to be probably about a half a day's travel, right? From where you are.
Okay, then I'm definitely taking Gallant.
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's starting to get to be nighttime, right? It's early, like I said, early evening. So if you leave now, it's going to get dark, and you're going to be traveling in the dark. So you can either do that, or you can try to wait until morning when you have good light and head to that direction, or whatever you want to do.
Morning. We'll wait till morning.
Okay. So you're still tripping for a while until you eventually pass out, and you wake up the next morning and you're just like, oh, you feel kind of like you feel okay, but you feel kind of dehydrated. You feel kind of like a little bit of a husk type scenario.
My quarter gallon or my quarter keg.
And you go, and you. And you hear from Velena, she's like, that was very strange. I'm not sure how I can have an out-of-body experience without having a body, but yeah.
I didn't know it affects you that way either.
Well, I mean, our psyches are so closely linked, right? Because of I mean, what we are, who we are. I can shield you from things. You gain benefits where we speak to each other's minds. So I can't say I was really expecting it per se, but
sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not super surprised. A little more effective than I thought it might be. Not a bad experience though.
You were pretty messed up last night.
You're the one who was imagining we saw dragons.
No, we definitely saw that.
Did we?
Oh yeah, we saw that. It went that way. I pointed hopefully the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, maybe? You think? Fingers crossed?
Yeah, I think, I didn't know what I came out here for, but maybe that's what it was.
Well, shall we?
We shall.
Alright, you break camp, make ready to travel, and then ride Gallant a half a day north into kind of like the end of this valley that you're in that builds up further into the mountains. And it's so amazingly not hidden. there is an immense cavern entrance at the end of this valley into the side of a mountain.
All right.
Like it's like openly advertised.
Come in. Come see
I
the
don't know about
dragon.
come in, but
Oh boy. Okay. We're gonna ride over near that. I'm gonna hobble Gallant off to the side a little on a tree or something. I'm gonna approach the cave.
okay. It's a little bit of a climb up onto a series of successive ledges, right? Kind of like built into the side of this valley as it's kind of trying to like rise up into the mountains. So you have your work cut out for you for a little bit, right? But it's nothing that it's just getting some physical activity going. You know, it's easy peasy.
Get the blood moving.
Yeah, it's just cold, which is kind of a bitch, right? But it doesn't take you long to make your way up to the main shelf where the entrance is. And it's a pretty massive entryway. Like, you could fit the manor in this entryway. It's big. And it leads into this darkened tunnel that just goes into the mountain.
All right. I turn on my drift club. And
Are we
head on
about to
in.
walk into a dragon's lair?
maybe
That was
we're
just
not picking a fight. We're just
I mean, I'm not worried about us picking a fight.
Bronze boys are
Well.
nice.
well, okay. Here's my thought process. If it wanted to eat us, it would have done so when we were high as shit and our horse is looking real tasty.
That's fair. Gallant does look like a snack.
Legit
Ooh,
snack.
He's so
You
cute.
legit
He a little
snack.
snack. I'm gonna eat you up.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I guess just well, fingers crossed.
Here we go.
You press into the cavern in the side of the mountain. And the tunnel goes back 60, 70 feet before it begins to wind and wend a little ways. You find yourself walking through this tunnel, and it narrows in places. It doesn't really widen in any place, but it narrows in a couple places, widens back out to its original form. You find yourself walking for a couple of minutes as you're kind of like, you're not sprinting down this tunnel, you're just kind of like walking in. And it's several hundred feet into the mountain. Before you see further in this light begin to kind of like flicker and filter into your direction. You can see the tunnel that you are in widens into a cavern, and there are some light sources within this cavern.
Pretty cool. All right, I continue walking. I am currently unarmed. Like,
Okay.
I don't have a weapon in my hands.
You walk, you investigate further, and you find yourself coming up into the edge of this cavern where there are these odd lights. You've seen the lamps of Waterdeep, for instance, right? But these are glass bulbs affixed to copper wire framing throughout this cavern, and it looks tarnished, right? It looks like it's old, and some of the lamps, some of the bulbs are busted, some of the bulbs are flickering, some of them are just dead, right? But there are dozens of them just radiating lights. And you find yourself in kind of like the southern end of a large chamber. As soon as you turn, you're kind of like coming in on the side, right? You see all this, and then you turn northward, and you hear, well, I guess I left the door open. There is a massive copper dragon laying in the northern portion of this chamber, and in between you and the copper dragon, right, there's kind of this southern portion and there's this northern portion. There's this kind of like weird scaffolding of copper and bronze, and this weird like archway that is mostly metal and has all these weird spigots and spouts and these light bulbs all over it, etc. Right? But there's this big kind of like arch that's big enough for the dragon to pass under, right? And it's on the other side of it. And it's just sitting there kind of like prim and proper, just like looking over at you.
I immediately kind of pause. Sorry for intruding, noble dragon. I do an awkward bow.
Are you sorry to intrude? Are you intruding? And cease that scraping. It behooves no one. Who are you? Why are you here? Surely you're not chasing your goddess.
About that. I might have been. Wait,
What
you know
were
my
you on?
I pull out like a little baggie of it.
The dragon kind of like, the brows, the scales on the dragon's eyes kind of like raise. And it's like, oh. Well, you found me. Here I am. Worship me, mortal. Is that how it goes?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know that I was prepared for you to actually be real. I thought you were a figment of my imagination.
The dragon just kind of like chuckles and says, you walked into my lair, my den, my home, expecting me to be fake.
Maybe. But I will say, you're far cooler than I could ever imagine.
Yes, the very definition of cool. You're a strange one, mortal. Normally those who are alone are demanding things or threatening things.
Not really, don't really need anything. It's just kind of trying to find my place in the world.
Needs nothing. Searching for his place in the world. You lead a charmed life, it seems.
You know, I can't really complain.
Here in your mind, you're talking to a dragon. Definitely don't complain.
How'd you know I came chasing my goddess, if you don't mind me asking?
You were yelling, Baldre! Baldre!
Alright.
Drugged out motherfucker.
That's fair.
Honestly,
Sorry
I
about
thought
that.
you mad. I considered eating you and your horse, but I didn't want to catch whatever it is you had. At this point, I'm somewhat saddened. It might have been a fun time.
Well, I appreciate you not eating me or my horse. He's been a very good horse.
He does look like a very good horse.
Boy, I don't really know what I came in here looking for, but This is
Strange, yes?
yeah, a little
What
bit
do we
strange.
do now?
You play chess?
I don't.
You wanna
How
fight?
about we start with introducing ourselves?
Oh yeah, you did ask that, and I got distracted. I'm sorry. My name's Matt, or Matashtai, if you'd like my long name.
Dragon nods at you. Kind of like squints at you ever so slightly, right? And says, "What about your passenger?"
You can sense her, huh?
Very faint, like she's hiding. And you kind of hear this almost like beep.
Yeah, she's a little nervous. Her name's Valena.
Valena.
She's a quarry spirit. I don't know if you know much about them.
Ori. Or from Eberron.
I sure am.
You're a long way from home, Kalashtar.
Yeah, I am. On a bit of a quest, if you will.
That makes the screaming of Boldre's name a little more understandable. Still weird.
Yeah, I'll say that's not my finest moment.
I am Ezrah, and I am not your goddess, but I will welcome your company nonetheless, and if nothing else, display a bit of hospitality. And then she says, I guess, let's make this a bit easier. And you see the dragon's form begin to morph. Down, 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 until she takes this form of a almost 12-foot copper-scaled, incredibly thin creature. You've seen like Doctor Who, The Silence, right?
Yeah.
Almost kind of like quintessentially like long alien arms type stuff. She doesn't have the huge bulbous head or anything like that. She has a kind of like little, almost draconic, like dragonborn face and snout and everything like that. But it's a very like thin stick-like body that she takes, but a very humanoid one. And she says, "There, something a little less intimidating for your friend." And you hear in Valena in your mind, she said, "She's 12 feet and incredibly beautiful. She thinks that's less intimidating."
She says thank you.
You see this kind of like squints from Ezrah, and she says, "I'm not sure you're telling the truth on that one."
Insight check.
Now that Ezrah has morphed down, though, you see behind her a couple things. You see off to the left side a clutch of opened, broken eggs. Hatched eggs, not like shattered or anything like that. But they seem old. They do not seem recent. And then, stranger still, off to the right side, to the east, in a small alcove past, is a little kind of like lounge, a little seating area. And in this area, pinned up all across the walls, are dozens and dozens of paintings, canvases. You see a half dozen easels, just sitting there in stages of half completed paintings or various stages of completion. and there are various buckets of like paint or bowls of paint and like little objects, little brushes, all scattered about. It's a madhouse of a painter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Matt kind of immediately kind of starts moving towards it quickly, and he stops, says, "Sorry, can I
She
see
kinda-
your paintings?"
Well, I was gonna invite you to sit down and have a cup of tea or something, but I mean, yes, you can look at the paintings, absolutely.
That's tea or
I'm a I'm a bit of a painter myself, so I'd love to see some of your work if that's all right.
Of course. Fellow artist out here. Very interesting to find.
Almost as interesting as finding a copper dragon hanging out in the mountains.
Almost. The work you see on most of these canvases is it's not mastercraft, right?
Yeah, it's like majestic beyond belief.
Yeah. It's not that, but it's good, right? It seems as if Ezrah does more of kind of like an impressionist style. So there's a lot of kind of like interesting portions, some things that don't always kind of like make sense. But everything has this kind of almost melancholy vibe about it. A lot of warm colors for the most part. But there is a touch of sadness to the majority of the paintings that you see.
So I got pretty high insight, so especially if I notice that as I'm looking through them, I'd ask her, Ezrah, do you get lonely out here?
God,
I had
please don't
children
go.
once, and they were the light of my life. It has been many ages since they were with me, though. Most of them yet live, which is good. I've had my touch of sorrow. But, yes, they live their lives elsewhere, and I find myself less interested in the going-ons of this world currently. So I create my own solitude, my own sadness.
Well, I think your paintings are quite beautiful.
Thank you.
You
You said you're
like
something of a
this?
painter yourself.
Beat me to it. Yeah, would you like to see some?
Of course.
And I kind of reach into my bag of holding.
Oh
arm
shit!
deep,
She's
just
like, oh, okay.
Oh, don't worry. These are
Like a
these
bag
are-
of
these
holding
aren't
isn't
all
that big,
paintings.
but whenever
I,
you're
like, pull out my
always
quart.
like shoulder deep.
I pull out like my quarter keg of water. Nope. Hold on.
Nope, not that one. Not that one.
And so I pull out a bunch of my paintings and show her a bunch of my like pictures of the kids playing in the streets outside Troll Skull and portraits of each of the guys from our group. I didn't get your permission for that. Don't give me the eyebrows. Just did it. As well as like sketches of some of the things that we fought and things we've seen down in the dungeon.
You hear this kind of like almost kind of like purring, right, coming from Ezrah as she's kind of like perusing your works and you're describing them and talking about the events that happened, right? And while this is happening, like she makes tea, And you guys begin kind of like just drinking tea. She has these little biscuits, right, that are actually quite like nice, and you end up just talking art, about your art, about her art. You go through pieces, and at the end of it, she kind of sighs and she says, I have only myself to blame for the self-imposed solitude, but truth be told, I appreciate it the majority of the time. That being said, it is nice to have a visitor every once in a while. You are talented, Matashtai. There's a joy to be captured in your work, a lust for life, it seems.
Thank you.
Says, my children were of many talents, but none of them shared my passion for painting. I had hoped that one would eventually, and in preparation, I made certain arrangements, but that never came to fruition. That lust for life, that creativity that you have, I could help foster that if you have an interest. And she walks over to this cabinet that's filled with supplies, right? She doesn't really like await your response, honestly.
I was gonna say,
like
yeah.
she kind of takes this almost kind of like suddenly haughty tone with like, oh, I've had this idea, it's gonna happen now, right?
Yeah,
type.
absolutely.
Oh, I'm a
Someone
dragon.
accustomed to getting what they've
right?
Yeah.
You know, and then she pulls out this case that kind of like unfolds, and as it unfolds, it's kind of like almost kind of like a jewelry box, but it's flatter, right? It unfolds, and when it unfolds, it opens up into little tiers, and you can see there's, you know, a dozen little brushes and other little tools and little spots for pigments and a little mixing pool and everything like that. And she begins to kind of like show it to you and describe to you, tell you, right, that this thing is you can use it to instill life, magic, will into your paintings.
Really?
There's a bit of a caveat, unfortunately. It requires some pretty specialized inks. And she looks past you at the remnants of the clutch there. And she says,
Father, my children.
no. She says,
That's not where this was going? Okay, my bad.
There are many ways to make magic pigments, but that which is made here is from the shells of dragon eggs. If I were to impart this to you, I would need your promise that you would never acquire pigments through a nefarious means.
You have it. I promise. But just to make sure I understand what is nefarious.
Don't go hunting dragons for their unborn babies so you can make magic inks.
Well, not specifically for that.
Understood. All right.
There are other reasons.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's just
says-
a happy extra.
There's enough here to last you for a while, or should, depending on what you decide to do with it. And should you run into issues, as I said, other magical pigments could work fine. But there's an issue later on, a failure or something, then perhaps you could visit again in another month or more. Not soon.
I think that's fair. I could show you some of what I've made.
She kind of like eyes you and she says, "Don't make me regret this." Also, if you decide to scarper away and back home, make use of that. Don't let this be some, I don't know.
One-time thing.
I feel weird now. This whole scenario, you shouting your god's name at me, and this whole encounter, it's strange. I'm not used to it.
Yeah, it's gonna... I don't think my friends are gonna believe me when I tell them what happened out here.
I could eat your horse. They'd believe you then. I'm not gonna eat your
They
horse.
didn't believe me.
I'm not gonna eat your horse. I will fantasize about eating your horse.
I could find another horse and send it up here for you.
There's plenty of game in these mountains. I want not for food. It's one of the reasons why it is my home. But
Well, thank you very much. You had no need to do this, and I appreciate it.
are you saying goodbye? Is that it?
Oh,
You're saying
no,
goodbye?
thank you. No,
Because I thought we were like,
we've got tea.
I thought we were
We've still
doing
got
drugs
tea.
tonight. Are we not
Yeah,
doing
we're
drugs
doing drugs.
tonight?
We got tea. We got a lot to go to yet.
And Matashtai willing, the next day or the next night and day is this wild drug haze of weird interactions with a dragon. Matashtai goes flying. At least he thinks he goes flying.
Hell
He can't quite remember. It's some crazy shit. But after a little bit of time spent with Ezrah, and after the drugs run out and wear off, Matashtai, you find yourself vision quest completed, kind of, but Villain is
Not where I
like,
thought I was going, but
weren't we supposed to like commune with Boldre? I feel like we missed something here.
yeah, definitely don't think we did this right.
You want to maybe just like think about it really hard on the way back?
Yeah, I think self-reflection, that's the way to go.
Self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then.
Does your head hurt? My head hurts.
Your head hurts, so my head hurts. Stop hurting your head.
Stop letting me hurt my head.
I don't control your limbs. So,
Well, why not?
there's a weird interaction. Maybe we'll have more of this to finish up on the next session. But we are well over our time, so I think having somewhat completed his vision quest, Ezrah having received a new mission from Rainair and a codex to decode, right? Bones having completed his task, the manual of swiftness of action, and Ashes having spent some time gaining the abilities to brew some uncommon potions, which should be exciting in the near future.
Hell yeah.
that's going to be the end of the session. I'll spend time with each of you again to kind of clear up what the last couple days of in-between downtime are, as kind of like Matashtai makes his way home. I think each of you is probably going to have like 1 or 2 days. And Matashtai, we kind of like glossed over Bulge Ray stuff, so if we need, like, we actually have to go back to that, we'll do a session or a pit stop for that as well on the next session.
Sure.
Sorry, get off on tangents, but we cleared several days of downtime, and I'm looking forward to the next session. Thanks everyone for playing.
Session
next
2
time.
of 7 of downtime.
Session 2. We'll maybe have a little bit of downtime on the next session, then we're going back to the dungeon.
Dungeon
well, not
high.
going to be next week. That's going to be the week after.
No. We are in the dungeon.
No, we're
at
not
least-
playing
off
next week.
week.
Maybe.
Oh well, yeah,
Maybe
that's a
off.
good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Maybe
Maybe off.
not.
Maybe off. We eagerly await Bones's or Zach's determination. Sorry, that's an IRL thing. My
Keep
bad.
me posted on that because I was under the assumption we were off.
Probably, but I'm not sure.
I mean, we can just make it official and just be off next week. We're off next week. We're taking a break regardless, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Stay safe. Be smart.